Welcome, everybody. Another edition of Legends Talk, man. I told y'all, man. This week, man, week by week, we gonna bring you the best, most thought provoking, insightful people from the basketball world, man. You know what I'm saying? Every week, I want to share my gratitude with everybody out there. Facebook world, Instagram world, the whole nine, man, just for tapping in with me, showing love. You know what I'm saying? It really means a lot, man. Everybody out there, man, that needs any merch. You know what I'm saying? I'm wearing one of my hoodies right now. I know it's about to be warm, but if you need one, holla at me. But yeah, man, we ain't here for that, man. We here to celebrate an individual that's that put in his pain in this game, man. You know what I'm saying? In this episode of Legends Talk, Kimani Young, he takes center stage, sharing his captivating journey from Forest Hills High School in Queens to coaching at UConn. Yeah, that UConn, clinching two, not one, but two national championships. This is truly a treat for all basketball lovers and fans as Young delves into his coaching strategies and player development insights. Join us as we encourage the crowd to, you know what I'm saying, the audience to ask questions, and just gain insight, man. Engage with this story, drawing inspiration and wisdom from his remarkable career in college basketball. With that said, man, we gonna get the proceeding. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get it going. Again, appreciate everybody for tapping in. And yeah, man, Legends Talk, Kimani Young edition. Yo, what's up, my guy? How you, man?
Cal, what's going on, man?
I'm
What's happening?
chilling. I'm good, man. Yo, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule, man, to come chop it up.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be a part of it. I've been a huge fan from afar, just following you on social media and listening to the interviews and um, a lot of my peers have been here. A lot of people I looked up to. So proud moment for me to be a part of it.
Oh man, that means a lot. That truly means a lot, man. You've been one of those guys, man. You know what I'm saying? Kind of in the shadows a bit, man, in terms of New York City basketball, that have been kind of in the shadows, but definitely deserve your just due, man. You've been around, countless programs, elite programs from all levels. And what I'm saying, we here to kind of chop up that your journey and pretty much, you know what I'm saying, let the people put the face to the name right now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, absolutely, man. I'm here for it. Um, my life, my journey, my career. Um,
Okay.
and basketball is an open book, man. So willing to share all, anything I can.
Well, first off, man, off top, man, I gotta say congratulations. You know what I'm saying? National champions, not once but twice.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? From Queens, New York City to the big stage.
yeah,
And now we here on Legends Talk. So you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We'll talk about it. But
I'm here now. I can finally say I made it, man. I'm on Legends Talk. So first time I've been called a legend, man. So thank you.
that's what's up, man. That's what's up. And you've been a legend, man. You just say I guess you ain't know it.
That's right.
But but yeah, let's talk about let's go all the way back, man, Kimani. Let's go to your playing days, man. I know a couple people done already commented on the Instagram saying, "Yo, I played against dude when we was in high school or whatever the case may be, man."
Yeah.
First for the people that don't know, where you from, and yeah, let's start off with where you from.
Yeah, I was born in Harlem, Cal. A lot of people may not know that, but I was born in Harlem. I grew up in Harlem. Um, for a large period of my childhood, right on 129th Street and Madison Avenue. I went to elementary school there, went to junior high school there. The first time I ever played was was with the Gauchos in the bathhouse. That was my introduction to basketball as a 5-year-old. And then I moved to Queens as a middle schooler. So I grew up in Queens, Left Rack City. That's home. I'll be remiss not to say that. That's where I grew up, watching guys like Kenny Anderson and Kenny Smith. That's where I really fell in love with the game and started taking the game seriously. When you're seeing guys like that every day, that's playing at a high level, being recognized. Both Kennys were McDonald's All-Americans, and Kenny Smith went to North Carolina, and Kenny Anderson went to Georgia Tech, and you seeing these guys made me believe that I could do something special with the game. So that was the start for me, and I've been chasing the game ever since.
Nah, that's fire, man. I know a lot of people didn't know. I didn't even know that you originally was from Harlem, man. I'm also from Harlem, 115th Street, Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
So you pretty much down the block.
Right down the block, man. I played in LaGuardia House. I grew up playing in Marsh Park. I ran all over Harlem, man. Each one teach one. All the way uptown, the bathhouse and Kennedy Center, Harlem Park. I mean, I played any and everywhere there was a ball bouncing as a youngster.
Nah, that's a fact, man. Going, leaving the house at 8 a.m, coming back at, whatever time you came back, man. Just probably played 12 games in that span. Absolutely,
man. Absolutely. That was definitely life growing up for me as well.
Word. So what do you say that is unique about a player from New York City that can't be duplicated anywhere else on earth, really?
Yeah, man. I think that it's the city's game. It was the city's game for us growing up. A lot of us in that era was growing up single parent households. Didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of resources. And for me, I was the only child growing up. So, it was something I could do by myself. All I needed was a ball and a hoop. And, once I got introduced to how to get better and learn the different drills and going to camps and watching players on TV, watching players in the park, being able to find ways to integrate different players into your own game. That's all you wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do growing up. And then the game, it was so competitive in New York. At every park, there was, the best players that you wanted to play against. There was always summer tournaments. There was always competitive teams that you wanted to be a part of. And I would literally travel from borough to borough growing up, just looking for the best players to play against. I wanted to be on the best teams. I had a big personality growing up, so I made friends everywhere. People don't realize, when I tell, oh yeah, that's my man, people just like, This guy knows everybody. But that was all because of the game that connected me to so many people, and was able to build such great relationships through the game. And it just made me dream as a kid. Just like a lot of kids growing up, I wanted to play in the NBA. I saw two guys that I watched every day get there. So that gave me motivation. That gave me self-confidence. That gave me self-belief. And I always had the feeling of like, yo, I'm gonna shoot for the stars. Maybe I hit the moon. And I still feel that way today. So growing up in New York City has been awesome for me.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope, man. I tell a lot of people that I encounter that basketball is a universal language, and like yourself, going around to different hoods, going around to different places, it builds that camaraderie between people. Whereas other people may have beef between hoods, what I'm saying? They already know you as that ball player who, what I'm saying, who gave them a run for their money the week before. So now when you see them, at a party, or you see them walking down the street or with your crew, they like, yo, what up? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, how you know them? I'm like, yo, we went to war a couple times.
Yeah. It was a safe haven for all of us, man. I could go anywhere. Right. I could go to Brooklyn. I could go to Queens. I could go to Manhattan. I could go to the Bronx. I even used to go out to Staten Island and play. I could go anywhere because I had a basketball and I could play. So that was definitely a badge of honor that we all wore. And I've carried that, through my high school career, my college career, and now in the coaching. A lot of those relationships that I was able to build as a kid growing up playing the game has allowed me to build great recruiting ties and relationships all over the country.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, still, in your early age, you mentioned that starting at 5, you were playing with the Gauchos.
Yeah.
But like, who was responsible for like teaching you the game, showing you the ropes, and just kind of getting your feet wet with respect to the game?
Yeah, listen, man, I've been blessed. I've been blessed because I've been around truly some of the best basketball minds in New York City basketball history. I started like you just said at the Bathhouse and Animal League at the Gauchos with Mr. Smith. I moved to Queens when I lived in Left Rack City. Vincent Smith, who's a New York City basketball legend, Kenny Smith's older brother. Judge Pierre Turner, Kevin Jackson. Those were some of my, just early mentors and early coaches that really invested in me from a teaching standpoint, teaching me the fundamentals of the game, teaching me what it meant to work hard and fully invest and commit to trying to become a better player every day. I played for a great high school coach in Irwin Isaac at Forest Hills High School. So Bob McCullough, each one teach one. Just all these just basketball aficionados that have helped so many kids along the way in New York City. I've just been blessed to be around those guys. But if I had to speak about one person, it'd definitely be Vincent Smith, who was like a father to me. He put his hands on me at 12, 13, and he hasn't let go of me since. So yeah, I owe him a ton of credit for my not only a lot of my success as a player, but also as a coach.
Right. Now, salute to Vince, man, true legend in the game. Now, fast forwarding just a bit, man. You played for Forest Hills High School,
Yeah.
where you earned an All City. You was All City, all New York City, and you earned a McDonald's honorable mention.
Yeah.
As a senior. Tell me about your thought process at this time. As you're kind of, you're kind of getting better. You're kind of, kind of in your own, in your own mind in terms of where you want to be. But where was your thought process when, junior, senior year, high school, when you're kind of going around and killing it?
Yeah, it was always for me about getting better. I always wanted to test myself against the best. When I was growing up, it was guys like, Mo Brown and Charles Jones and Felipe Lopez. And, it was just so many good players in New York City, man. That I wanted to compare myself against and compete against. So for me, it was all about, you seeing that growth, you seeing that improvement, but I always wanted more. I always felt like, it was always room for growth. And I credit the coaches around me, to help me, just always keeping me humble and always letting me know that somebody's around the corner working just as hard, if not harder. But it was good to be recognized. I think I made a big jump from my junior year to my senior year. And for me, it was always about that progress.
Now, around those years where you say you were getting a lot better, I guess colleges start reaching out. Do you remember the first college letter that you got, and from who?
Yeah, I remember going to BC camp as a junior, BC All Stars. That was a big camp in Pennsylvania. All the top players in the city, all the top players from the East Coast would go there. And I just remember receiving an award. I made the All-Star team. I made the top 20 game there. And you're talking about myself, Stephon Marbury, Ed Booger Smith, Shaka Ship, Mo Brown, James Forrest, John Wallace. I mean, some big time players were there. And, that's when I realized, like, wait a minute, I can compete against some of not only the best players in the city, but also the best players in the country. And you start receiving letters. That was a big thing back then. It wasn't as much with the phones and social media. But you start seeing all these letters pouring in from all places from all over the country: Iowa, St. Joe's, Providence, Notre Dame, St. John's, Seton Hall, all these different schools were reaching out. And, you know, that just made you feel like, all right, I'm on my way.
Right.
You know, and you get those questionnaires, and, you know, you can't wait to tell your friends and your parents and your family that you're being pursued by these different schools. And that was awesome for me. And it was also motivation at the same time.
Do you remember that first one though that you got, or
I
not?
think it was Iowa, man. I think
Oh,
I think it
Iowa.
was Iowa. You know, I think it was Iowa. I think my mom still got a crate somewhere with all those letters in there. But I do, man. I think it was Iowa. Coach Tom Davis was the head coach there. I got a letter from him, and that was big time for me at the time.
Right. So, I mean, it's no secret that you went to Texas El Paso.
Yeah.
But did you have I guess, for lack of better words, a dream school that you wanted to go to?
Yeah, not really, man. I mean, you know, listen, man. You know, for me, I just wanted to go to college for free. You know, I knew that my mom didn't have the resources to pay for me to go to school. I knew if I was going to get a college education, it was
Right.
going to be because I had a scholarship. A lot of people may not know. I started at Long Island at LIU in Brooklyn. You know, I had a lot of college interests and schools pursuing me. You know, but I didn't have great grades coming out of high school. I didn't have a lot of scholarship offers once I graduated. Ron Niclario, shout out to Ron Niclario, made a call for me to assistant coach at LIU. You know, and they were able to help me through the summer get eligible for college. I started my freshman year at LIU in Brooklyn for Coach Tom Lizzo. So that was my introduction to college basketball.
Right.
And you know, I give Tiny Morton a ton of credit because as a freshman, I was playing well. I had a pretty good freshman year, and I just remember being on a trip with him, and he was like, "Come on, you know, you're bigger than this. You know, this shouldn't be the first stop. This should be the last stop." And that's a quote, and he knows this. We talk about that all the time. So midway through my freshman year, I started realizing, like, you know, maybe there's something big out there for me, something better. You know, I wanted to focus on having a great freshman year and then put myself in position to be able to transfer somewhere higher.
That's tough, man. So, you know, like I just mentioned, ultimately you chose Texas El Paso
Yep.
for school. You know, for school under Hall of Famer Don Haskins.
Yeah.
Tell me about, you know what I'm saying, stepping onto that campus, you know, just kind of you know, having that scholarship and just kind of, you know what I'm saying, living that part of your dream, man. How was that for you? And you know, in terms of your start, like how was your first couple of months there? Was it you know, did you get homesick? You know, tell me about that first couple of months in Texas.
Yeah, not at all, man. I was a pretty independent kid. You know, if you growing up in the 90s, man, um, you know, that I just remember the term latchkey kid. Everybody had their own key. You was moving around on your own. You was getting on the train, you was getting on the bus, you was going to school on your own. You know, so I was pretty independent, man, and I was ready for the challenge. I went on my college visit there by myself, you know, and I just remember being enamored with all the history and the tradition. You know, Coach Haskins was such a huge figure in college basketball at the time because of what he did in 1966, being the first college coach to start 5 Black players. And I wanted to be a part of that history. You know, when I stepped on that campus, you see all the banners. They were a perennial NCAA team. There were players that had played in the NBA, Tiny Archibald, you know, Tim Hardaway, Antonio Davis, Greg Foster. They had been, you know, that's what I was looking for in the college experience. That's what I felt like I had worked so hard to be a part of. So once I got there, it was on me to make it work. So there was never a time when I was homesick. And it wasn't easy. It was a ton of adversity. There was really good players there. We had really good teams. But my mindset was like, I'm gonna keep working hard and I'm gonna be a part of the success here.
That's dope, man. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you know, we won't be ourselves without that adversity. You know what I'm saying? But you did your thing out there. You know, you were part of that 1,000-point club. You averaged nearly, you know, just under, I guess, a shade under 20 points your upperclassmen years, your junior and senior years.
Yeah.
What were your goals in terms of your basketball career at that point? Once you've once you've scored the 17, 18 points average, and now you're kind of leading into the latter part of your collegiate career.
Yeah, just like everybody else, I thought I was going to the NBA, man. I
Right,
thought it was.
right.
I thought I was going to the NBA. I averaged 17 or 16 or 17 as a junior, a little bit above that as a senior. Put up some big numbers against some big time players. So back then, nobody would have been able to tell me I wasn't going to the NBA until I ran across Utah with Andre Miller and Keith Van Horn and Michael Doliak, and I saw the difference. I realized there was levels to this. So that was a reality check for me. But I still wanted to be around the game. I still wanted to play the game for as long as I could. But it just comes to a point where that reality sets in. Like, listen, I'm not going to the NBA. Okay, so what's next? But I enjoyed my time there. Playing for a coach like Coach Haskins, I think embedded that hunger for me to become a coach. So I'm super thankful for my time there for that.
Right. So I mean, was it because there's options, right? There's NBA, there's overseas, things like that. Was that an option for you, or did you just kind of move in a different direction altogether?
Yeah, once I was done playing, I played a year in the IBA, and that was really the bridge between the NBA, the CBA, and the G League. It was kind of like a progression. So I played in the IBA. I played in Bismarck, North Dakota. My head coach was Dave Yeager. He drafted me and coached me there. But I realized quickly I loved the game, but I didn't love the game that much.
Right.
24-hour bus rides, you in 30 below 0 degree weather. Like I said, listen, man, I love the game. I put a lot into it, but I got my degree. I got a ton of relationships. I think I'll be okay if I transition to something else involving the game. But I played against some really good players in the IBA, Damon Jones and, a bunch of guys that went on to play in the NBA from that league. But I wouldn't change my journey for anything. I enjoyed my time there. I think that experience helped me and it made me realize that, listen, I want to be around the game, but maybe playing just won't be the path for me.
Right. So was the next phase in your career, was that with the New Heights situation, or was there something before that kind of helped you leverage your way there?
Yeah, it was a lot before that, man. It was a lot before that. Some ups, some downs, some adversities. But my introduction to basketball really came through the Police Athletic League. I was working for the Police Athletic League in New York City. I worked at a couple centers all over the city, the Webster Center in the Bronx, the Mickey O Center in Red Hook. I worked at the Wynn Center in Bed-Stuy, and just being back in the gym, running youth programs and running summer camps and evening programs just got me back in the gym, and those basketball juices started flowing again. Once I was a assistant director at a center in Red Hook, and the enrollment numbers were really low, and I knew that basketball is something that could just re-energize a belief in that center and wanted kids to be there. And I said, I want to, I grew up playing at IS-8 in Queens, like a lot of us. And I said, I want to bring IS-8 to Brooklyn. And I reached out to a good friend of mine, Tiny Morton, and said, listen, he was at the height of his career at Lincoln with guys like Sebastian Telfair and, Gino Lawrence and Antonio Pena and Lance Stevenson and Irvin Walker. We started bringing all those guys in the gym. We started some leagues there. We had a winter league, summer league, spring league. And that's when I really got exposed to, high level players and being able to work those guys out. And, we had a Saturday program for young kids, introducing them to basketball. So I think that was like when it really started turning for me, like, look, I can make a career out of this,
Right.
as well as giving back to my community, as well as showing appreciation and love for the coaches that invested so much in me. as a young person. And I think that's where it started turning for me. You know, I coached with Team Next, with Mike Moore and all those guys. You know, I went on to coach with Juice All Stars with Tiny. And then a good friend of mine, Anton Marchand, later on came to me with an opportunity to run my own program with S. Carter. Jay-Z had the new sneaker out and was looking for a way to market the sneaker. You know, AAU basketball was coming a thing, you know, really across the country in terms of high profile athletes and entertainers being able to give back and market their shoes or their music or whatever it was. You know, we put together some big time teams, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade teams. We won an 8th grade national championship, AAU national championship in 2006, I want to say, with guys like Javon Pinkston and Corey Edwards and, you know, Fatty McMillan and all these, you know, young players that, you know, were the next kind of like the next wave of high school players. And I think that was what springboarded me to the opportunity you just talked about, which was at New Heights.
Right now. Salute to Dwight Hardy on the check-in, man. He said definitely a legend. Salute to Kimani.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's man. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, man, you mentioned some killers there, man. Javon Pinkston, Bishop
Yeah.
Lockman. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. No, that's fire. So like, all right, so now, man, you're at New Heights, or you know, the New Heights situation came about, man. What inspired you to kind of you know, to kind of not you the athletic director in New Heights, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your aspirations to where did you want to take this? Did you always think, hey, I want to leverage this into a coaching career at the collegiate level, or hey, I just want to, you know, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, and whatever happens later, you know, did you have a route that you wanted to go?
Yeah, not really, man. I just remember I was at Rumble in the Bronx. You know, and I might have been coaching with Juice All Stars at the time. And I'm watching all these other programs. I'm watching the Gauchos. I'm watching Riverside. I'm watching, you know, programs from all over the country, City Rocks, Baltimore Elite. I mean, you name them, all the top programs,
Right.
California Supreme, all these top programs from across the country would come to New York City and play in Rumble in the Bronx. I mean, premier tournament, you know, in the early 2000s. And I remember watching New Heights warm up, and you know they were so organized, and you know they had a coaching staff, and they had their polo shirts on, and it was very professional. And you know I thought they played the right way, and they competed, and they had some really good players too. You know, Lance Thomas, Lance Goldburn, all these big time players that I had been following, and you know, just so happens that one of my close friends that I had known for a long time, even going back to high school, was Nick Blatchford, had founded that program and organization. And you know, we start talking and we start talking about the grassroots space and what it meant to me, what it meant to him, and you know, our values aligned. You know, because when I got into you know, AAU basketball, like for me, it was all about trying to help these kids really use basketball a tool to form the kind of habits and teach them the life lessons that they would need to be successful as adults. I had made some mistakes as a young person, and you know, my sole goal was to make sure that these young people didn't make those same mistakes, and was able to learn from somebody like me that had such a broad, you know, basketball experience, and it just fit. You know, they offered me a full-time job, you know, which was unheard of at the time. I think I had two young children at the time, and to be able to coach basketball, impact the lives of young people, and it was a full-time job with benefits. That was enough for me.
Right.
You know, if somebody told me at that time I would be at New Heights for 20 years or 30 years, I would have signed up for that. You know, they had resources. Uh, they had a home base. We were running everything out of Talent Time. We had classrooms.
Yo.
You know, it was all about preparing these guys academically for high school and for college, SAT prep, all these things that had meant so much to me as a young coach. So I was excited to be a part of it. But I also wanted to compete. I wanted to play against the best. I wanted to be in a big time basketball environment. I wanted to challenge myself as a coach. So everything just kind of lined up, man. That was an awesome opportunity for me at the time.
Right, right. And that opportunity, like, how do you think that that experience with New Heights kind of shaped your coaching philosophy? Looking back on your time there at New Heights, how do you think that it kind of shaped your philosophy for where you are now?
Yeah, it was everything for me because it was a professional environment.
Right,
It wasn't just like, hey, you show up to the gym and you run a practice and you just coach these games.
right,
I had to help manage a budget. I had to help kids enroll in different programs, help them decide on different high schools. I had to run a summer academy. Like there was all these different responsibilities that came with the job that I think eventually prepared me for my role as an assistant coach in college. So I owe a ton of my success to that opportunity at New Heights. It just made me aware of that there was so much more that goes on. Fundraising,
right,
right? It took a lot of resources to travel the country and organize teams. We have boys and girls, which exposed me to women's basketball. So it was just so many different things that helped me along the way. So when it was time to make that jump into college, I was definitely ready.
right, right. There's definitely a lot of moving pieces that the average person, they don't really see what's going on behind the scenes in order to make these things happen. So definitely know what you're saying. Now I know you did some video coordinator work, manager work with St. John's at one point.
Yeah.
Um, Now, how did you leverage that into your future, which is with UConn or with FIU, your
Hmm.
your first your first opportunity with on the collegiate level? How
Hmm.
did you use that St. John's opportunity in order to get into the coaching realm?
Yeah, for me, it was just about what was the next step. Like I think starting out at some of those programs I mentioned earlier, getting the opportunity at New Heights, building New Heights into a national brand. Back then, for a lot of us that were coaching in grassroots, if you landed a sneaker deal, you made it,
Right,
right? And we were able to, foster that relationship with Adidas and was able to garner sponsorship from Adidas. We would go to all these big tournaments and events. And now, the level of players that I'm coaching were being recruited by, different colleges all across the country. And now, I'm building relationships with coaches like Jay Wright and
mhm,
Billy Donovan and Rick Pitino and Buzz Williams, all these different coaches Bruce Pearl, all these different coaches that are recruiting our guys. Um, and now I start really seeing a career path, because you're having these conversations, you're visiting these college campuses, you're helping kids and families make their college choices. And people are really relying on you and leaning on you for your expertise and your just your knowledge of the game. And I'm feeling like, all right, what's next?
right,
For me, it was just a natural progression to make that jump into college. And fortunate enough for me, I had a relationship with Norm Roberts going back to when I was a player. In high school, he coached at Archbishop Malloy, where Vincent Smith, who I spoke about, was an assistant coach. So I've known Norm forever. And he offered me a position along with Oz Cross, the director at the Rens. Um, to come in like an entry level position in college. And I just felt that if I was going to make that jump, it would be easier for me to do it in New York City. I was home. I didn't have to move
right.
my family. I had 3 kids at the time. So for me, it was about just taking that step. And I felt like once I got into college, I'll be able to grow and create more opportunities from there.
Right, right. Now, I want to take a quick second, right, and just point something out, man. For anybody that's out there that's watching this live right now, or you may stumble upon this interview in the future. There's a key word, man, that you've been mentioning over and over during this interview, and that word is relationship. The relationships that you've built, you being able to nurture those relationships, man. and and ultimately be where you are today. How important, if you can reiterate real quick, man, how important is, kind of creating those relationships, man, and not only establishing those relationships, but like I said, nurturing them, and kind of building those up, man. How important is that to somebody's development to reach those heights that you've reached?
Relationships are everything, man. I truly believe that. When I was as a young coach, when I was coaching, at Team Next, I just wanted to be. I was coaching. I want to say sixth graders, right? I was literally coaching like sixth grade, AAU basketball. I wanted to be the best sixth grade AAU coach in the country. I was treating those sixth graders like they were, all Americans. We practiced. We did individual workouts. I picked them up. I dropped them off. I invested everything I had into them as young people. I was honest with them. I was honest with their families. I was honest with anybody that I ever came into contact with. Sometimes they liked it, sometimes they didn't. But for me, it was all about being myself. It was about being authentic. It was about being clear. It was about being a good communicator. And I just wanted my reputation to be like, yo, that dude is a good coach. He's a good person. And he's all about young people, and I took that everywhere I went. I took that to Juice All Stars. I took that to New Heights. I took that to Rice High School. I'd be remiss if I don't mention Rice High School and Mo Hicks. I think that was a huge part of my development. It was my first introduction to what I would say was more like just a more structured basketball environment in a Catholic league in New York City, where at the time that was the best high school league in the country. And I think that I just started building that reputation. Like, hey, that's a young guy that works hard, that's committed, that gives everything he has to the people that are part of his circle. He's going to compete at the highest level, and I think people really respected me for that, and that's all I wanted out of it.
Tough, man. Hey, man, like I said, man, those relationships are everything, man. Again, you it's like it's not about what you know, it's about who you know
Yeah,
sometimes, right?
yeah,
All the time.
absolutely, man. Because once you start getting into that space where college coaches are starting to reach out to you to recruit your players, is where you start building your reputation amongst college coaches. And you start building the relationships, and people start saying, hey, I just remember talking to Jay Wright one time, and he was like, hey, do you ever think about getting into college coaching? And that was eye-opening for me, because I'm like, he's one of the best coaches in the country at the time, and he views me that way.
Right.
So for me, it was about, maybe I should be viewing myself that way. And I built relationships with guys like Rob Lanier, Mick Cronin, and all these different coaches across the country that took a liking to me and took a liking into what I was trying to do with our program. And that's ultimately how I landed the coaching opportunity at FIU.
Okay. Okay.
It was literally, it was Mick Cronin, it was Rob Lanier, it was Billy Donovan and guys like that. Richard Pitino had worked on the staff, with Rob and at Florida. Mick Cronin had worked with Richard's dad at Louisville. And I just remember I went and worked a team camp down at Florida one summer, 2009, and literally hung out with Richard for 3 days at a team camp. And we would just go watch games, high school games. Guys like Austin Rivers was playing, Jacoby Brissett, all these big time players in Florida and down in the South. And, we were just talking ball and watching games. And I was giving him my evaluation. He would call me, ask me about guys in New York. And I would always tell him what I thought. And I just remember him telling me, like, yo, Kimani, I'm gonna hire you one day. If I get a job, I'm gonna hire you. You're the type of person I wanna be around every day. I think you got a bright future in college coaching, and it's one of them things you just wave it off like, yeah, okay, But he was true to his word. Every time he had an opportunity and to become a head coach, he reached out to me. And I was appreciative of that. He got the head coaching job at FIU, and I was one of the first calls he made, and I was excited to have that kind of opportunity in front of me. Obviously, I accepted it, and then the rest was history after that. So to go back to your original questions, without those relationships I had built, leading up to that, without knowing that that was on the other side, who knows where I would be.
Yeah, that's groundbreaking right there, man. That's crazy, man. Because I was gonna ask you about Richard Pitino, son of Rick, Rick Pitino, and what he meant to your journey. You know what I'm saying? But it takes a special type of person to say that to somebody and actually follow up and be that person. You know what I'm saying? Because he not only took you, kind of accepted you at FIU, but moving forward with other opportunities, kind of in Minnesota, even, you know what I'm saying, took you right along with him. So talk about that Minnesota, that Minnesota time out there, man. How I know it's cold out there. I know, you know what I'm saying, I know you probably was away from your fam, away from the things that you're probably accustomed to. But talk about that University of Minnesota run that you guys had, and what that meant for your career.
Yeah, it meant everything to me. I think that going to a place like Minnesota at the time was the best thing that could have happened for my career. You move into a different part of the country. I spent most of my coaching career in the Northeast. Even though you're in Florida, you're still recruiting New York, New Jersey, Philly, a little bit of Atlanta. But for the most part, you're still on the East Coast. And, you mentioned Florida, anybody in New York, and they ready, especially Miami. That's how I felt when he offered me the job. I said, "Where is FIU?" And he said, "Miami." I said, "I'm in." But getting out to the Midwest and being exposed to a different culture of basketball, you have to meet new coaches, new high school coaches, new AAU coaches. There's already a stigma that comes with being from New York. Coach Pitino, he grew up in Boston and New York, so he kind of had the same East Coast sarcasm that came with him. So it was important for us to go out there and build new relationships and learn a different style of basketball and have an appreciation for it. And I think that helped me because it helped me just realize that, it's a big country. Basketball is played not only all over the country, but all over the world. I was in different gyms where nobody knew me. So I had to start fresh and introduce myself, and people had to get to know me, without any kind of reputation that came behind it. So I think that was great for me.
Right.
Minnesota has a great basketball culture. There's really good high school coaches, really good players from the state of Minnesota. And it was a great city. It was a great place to be in terms of raising my family. My kids were still young at the time. My youngest son was born in Minnesota. So I still have a huge affection for that place and that university. Being in the Big Ten was incredible. One day I'm coaching AAU, and the next day, I'm coaching against Tom Izzo and Thad Matta and John Beeline and Mark Turgeon
Right.
and, Bo Ryan and all these Hall of Fame coaches. And I'm like, still a young coach. So that was great exposure for me. And obviously a huge part of my journey as well.
Nah, hey man, that's great, man. From coming from those humble beginnings that you spoke about, to now on the big stage, coaching against some of college basketball's most prolific coaches. That's really inspiring, man. To somebody that wants to go that route and maybe follow those footsteps, man. Some large shoes to fill, but it's possible. Now.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about how you transitioned over into your opportunity with UConn, being on the coaching staff for the UConn Huskies, and how did you get there? I know Dan Hurley is he's part of that legendary. He got that legendary Hurley name. You went from the Patinos to the Hurleys.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how you used your experience and leveraged it into an opportunity with UConn, which happens to be one of my all-time favorite teams.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, listen, I have been following the Hurley family since I started playing, really, as a kid. You grow up across the water, but, St. Anthony's and Coach Hurley are synonymous with any basketball in the metropolitan area. I mean, you know, Coach Hurley Sr. is, you know, debatable, but one of the best high school coaches of all time.
Right.
He's a Hall of Famer in his own right. Bobby Jr. is one of the best, high school players and college point guards ever to play the game. So, you grow up following, and understanding what the Hurley name meant and what St. Anthony's meant to basketball across the country. And then you also follow Danny, because he was in the footsteps of his dad and then of his brother. I remember watching him as a player at Seton Hall. We grew up watching the Big East.
Right.
I remember watching Seton Hall before he even got there. When they went to the national championship, in 1989. So it's like you're always following these programs, no matter where you are in terms of college basketball. So, I got a chance to build a relationship with him when he was an assistant coach at Rutgers. Rob Lanier, again, comes in the picture with that, because they work together on the Rutgers staff. I would go out to visit Rob sometimes. Danny would be there. So I got to, meet him as a young coach. He transitioned to St. Benedict's, where, he ran arguably one of, the best high school programs in the country with, 7 McDonald's All-Americans and 9 pros that he coached over that time there. I remember going to watch his practices at St. Benedict's, saying, he runs this high school program like a college program. I was able to compete against him when I was at Rice. We played them in the Super Six at Madison Square Garden on a Super Bowl Sunday. He reminds me very often about how they beat us in that game. We had Kemba Walker and Durant Scott and guys like that, when he had Tristan Thompson and Samardo Samuels and Greg Ejanike and Scott Machado. So those are all great memories and battles that we were able to build a relationship through. We transitioned into college around the same time. I think he transitioned maybe a year or two earlier. But then you're running into each other on the road at recruiting events. And I would always find time to, just pick his brain and talk basketball with him. Because you're out in these events, and you're in Indianapolis, and you're in Milwaukee, and you're in Vegas, and all these different places, and you see familiar faces that remind you of home. You want to just, get together and talk ball. So we always found time to find each other on the road. And then once he got the job here at UConn, fortunate enough for me, he thought highly enough for me as a recruiter and as a coach from this area to offer me a position here. And then I was excited to be at a place like UConn after all the work that I had put in leading up to that point.
Yeah, man. That's incredible, man. Because I mean, like you said, you're just kind of using one opportunity and leveraging it into the next opportunity, and it's just a matter of timing. Again, those relationships come into play, and the rest is history. But you and Dan, man, you guys seem to have a great synergy. He's the fiery coach that like his dad. You on the sideline a little bit more stoic. Talk about your relationship, man, and I'm sure it's deeper than just basketball, man. At this point, man, you guys winning 2 national championships together. Talk about what kind of person he is off the court, and how he kind of inspires you, man, and just in any other ways.
Yeah, listen, man. He's been the best part of my career. That's the best pick. That's the best way I could put it. Not only from offering, for presenting this kind of opportunity for me, but just setting an example that's worthy of imitation. When you see a guy like that comes in every day, that's so committed to his program, so committed to his players, so committed to his staff, it makes you want to go to war for him. And it's not always like that in college basketball. At some point you got to go in the homes. You got to go, you got to go into in the gyms and really rely on relationships that you spent a lot of time building. And you got to introduce your head coach as saying, hey, I know I'm here, but this is the person that your son is coming to play for. You got to have a confidence that that, you know, deserves that. And, you know, I could say unequivocally, man, he's the best coach I've ever been around. I've never seen anybody that's more committed to his players, more committed to his program. You know, what you see on the court is what we see every single day. You know, from meetings, from practice to film session. You know, he's a guy that's all about basketball, all about helping his players improve, all about, you know, not only them improving as players, but improving as young men. And so when they leave here, they're equipped with the tools that they need to be successful, not only in their basketball career, but beyond. And he sets an example every day that you want to live up to. You know, everybody, he has a saying, you know, I want everything you got, not what you got left. And we all wear that, and we're all committed to that, you know. You know, he's all about self-improvement, and that's not only our players, you know. You know, I give him a lot of credit with, you know, time I've spent getting in shape, training my mind, training my body, fully committed to the game. You know, what can I do on a daily basis to help these players improve? What can I do on a daily basis to move our program forward? And, you know, I've been here 6 years, and now people are seeing the results, but it all stems back to the tone that he set from day one, and the leadership that he's shown, and our ability as a staff and as players to follow.
That's incredible, man. You guys seem to have a good camaraderie there, and you know, again, that's one of my, you know, since the even before the Kemba days, since the Ray Allen days, UConn has been, you know, one of those programs that has been, you know, upper echelon, if you
For
will.
Yeah, for all of us, you know,
Right,
for all
right,
of us
right,
growing up, you know, you watch St. John's and you watch UConn, you
right,
know,
right.
you watch Syracuse, you watch Villanova, but
Georgetown,
you
yeah,
watch Georgetown, you know what I mean? But UConn was always one of those programs, which, you know, a lot of guys from New York came, you know, especially guys like Kemba. You know, when I was coming up, excuse me, and you know, as a coach, the colors, you know what I mean? Like the colors, the
right, right.
Husky, you know, the history, the tradition, the national championships, Jim Calhoun,
Calhoun, right,
the pros, the success that the pros had coming out of here. So to be a part of it was special. And then to have the leadership of Coach Hurley and the entire staff, you know, everybody here is totally bought in. I love going to work with those guys every day. You know, Coach Luke Murray and Tom Moore, and even the support staff guys. Everybody is here trying to move this program forward. Everybody's committed. Everybody loves UConn. Everybody wants to be a part of winning. And people are just seeing the success that comes with that.
right, right. Now, how do you balance the competitive nature of college basketball with the developmental aspect of coaching young players?
Yeah, man. You know, for us, it's one and the same. You
Right,
know, and I think it starts in recruiting. You know, we have really honest conversations with kids and families during the recruiting process. Now, granted, we got to recruit the best players in the country. Obviously, there's a talent level that you got to have to be able to play at a place like this, but there's also a character piece that comes with that. You know, and you know, one of the messages that we love to share with the kids that recruit is that this is a two-way street. You know, we wouldn't be in front of you if you didn't aspire to be a big time player and didn't aspire to play in the NBA. You know, but you know, you got to come here to win. You know, we're going to be judged on you know, Final Fours and Big East titles and national championships, and that's the trade-off. You know, we're going to give you everything we have as coaches in terms of our expertise, in terms of our commitment, in terms of our resources. You know, and we ask for that same commitment in return in terms of how hard you play, how bad you want to win, how coachable you're going to be, how much you want to be a part of a winning culture and a winning organization. So, you know, for us, it goes hand in hand. And when we're able to find the right people that want to be a part of that, it makes it really easy.
right, right. Now, these last two things I want to ask you about, right, are more they're newer nuances of the game in terms of the transfer portal. right? What do you think about the transfer portal? From a coach's perspective, and in terms of, I get a lot of people that say, hey, these kids aren't working hard enough. They face some adversity and they want to leave. You know what I'm saying? They jump ship and they go to the next school. And if you know better than I do, there was a record number of players in the transfer portal, both men and women. Um, and you probably do a lot of your diving. Most of your grunt work probably is in there as well. But what do you feel about, what's the overall consensus about the transfer portal in terms of that facing adversity thing? And what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's for me, it's a gift and a curse. I truly believe that because, I see both sides of it. I see players that have gone to, a lower level, that have really played well and feel like they've hit a ceiling that they could achieve in terms of statistics and exposure and winning at a certain level and are looking for a little more. That was my experience as a player. You take a guy like Tristan Newton for an example. He went to East Carolina University. It was his only Division I offer coming out of high school. From El Paso, Texas, and he played 3 years there. And his head coach was fired. And he'll tell you himself, if his head coach didn't get fired, he wouldn't transfer.
Right.
And then he transfers to UConn, wins 2 national championships, become a first-team All-American, wins the Bob Cousy Award, and now has put himself in a position to be an NBA player because, an opportunity presented itself at a high level. And I think that those are the kind of guys that we've attracted. People that just want a little bit more out of their careers, not people that's running from something.
Right.
And that's where I think it becomes an issue because it's like you go somewhere, you face a little bit of adversity, and the first thing you want to do is run somewhere else. Well, obviously you had some problems as a player and as a young person, whatever it is. They give you 4 years for a reason. And I tell these young players that you follow you when you transfer. So whatever was holding you back from playing at the place that you were prior, those same limitations are going to follow you if you're not willing to address that. And I think that that's where the transfer portal causes some problems because there's never a time you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, I have to get better.
Right.
I got to get stronger. I got to become a better decision maker. I got to become a better shooter, a better passer. I got to get tougher. I got to, expand my basketball IQ. I have to learn. And that's where I think it becomes an issue.
I want to beat this guy out of that spot. That's my spot. I deserve that spot.
Absolutely, man. I mean, competition is the bloodline of our business, the bloodline of any business. And that's what I think that intercollegiate sports is so great because you learn those lessons while playing the game that you love. So you're almost, you're forfeiting that character building piece by by just anything comes up. You learn, you leave. You got kids that go to 4 schools in 4 years. All right, when you're done playing, where's home? Where are you going back to rely on, those relationships and those resources and those friendships that you built.
Lifelong friendship, right?
Yeah, those are the things that I think the transfer portal hurts. But for me, listen, in our program, we still want to build this program through old school, high school recruiting. And I think we've done that, and we've been fortunate enough that we've been able to supplement our roster with pieces that we need to fill along the way. But we'll see what happens, moving forward. But I just feel like, people at some point got to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, I chose this school for a reason. What I need to do to get better to play here. And then if it doesn't work out and you got to make a move, so be it.
Right.
But, when you see McDonald's All-Americans, I think there's been 14 McDonald's All-Americans that's transferred after their first year in the last 2 years. That's unheard of. You went somewhere, you were a really good player in high school, and you just thought it was going to be easy. And now you want to run to the next situation. You're going to follow you is what I tell people.
Right. Now the second component of that question is kind of goes along with the NIL and the complexities surrounding that. Now, what do you feel about the NIL deals? Players are getting paid now, which is groundbreaking. A lot of people were fighting for this, but what do you think are the negatives? The negatives, towards kids getting NIL deals and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'll start with saying, listen, I'm in favor of NIL. I'm in favor of college athletes being compensated for their name, image, and likeness. I think they're deserving. You the QB1 at Alabama. Your jerseys are selling off the shelves. Then you deserve a percentage of that. I get it, and I support it. What I don't support is young people making decisions based on NIL. I think that when you're a high school athlete and you're being recruited, it was things I used to say to kids and families that are making a decision. It should be, style of play. It should be, what your role is going to be, playing time,
Not
exposure.
right.
How how much does it matter geographically? For your family to be a part of it.
Right.
You want to go on to the NBA. Like if that's a realistic goal for you, how does that school, relate in terms of that?
Right.
Yeah. And now, the first thing people want to ask you is what's the NIL package? And we all know as adults, you make any decision solely based on money is probably the wrong one. So the kids that we like to recruit, we let them know, listen, our NIL is competitive. We have resources here. We got a ton of support here from a donor perspective and businesses in the state of Connecticut. We're the premier basketball program in the Northeast, right now. So you're going to get everything you deserve in terms of NIL, but don't come here if that's the driving force. And I think that's where I think people get into trouble, because you make a decision solely based on money, and then what? If you're not playing, or if you're not playing the role you were looking for, if you're not winning, if the style of play doesn't fit you, now is that hindering your long-term goals? So, that's the only advice I would give to people, and we'll see where this NIL thing goes in the next few years.
Right. Now that your resume is what it is, you know what I'm saying? You've added those two national championships to the top of that resume. What kind of motivates you, man, to continue to make a positive impact in the lives of young people or young athletes through coaching?
Yeah, for me, it's always about getting better. It's always about getting better. It's all about finding new ways to help these guys improve. I just came back from a coaches retreat the last 2 days down in Charlotte with some other college coaches, some NBA coaches, just always trying to find ways to keep moving the game forward. That's always been it for me. I've always been a person that wants to be where my feet are, and as long as I'm the associate head coach here at UConn, I want to be the best associate head coach in the country. I want to be a great resource to our players. I want to be a great resource to the rest of the staff. I want to learn from the rest of the staff. I want to be somebody that when they see me, they're inspired and they want to get better. They want to be on the court with me. They want to sweat with me. And I just remember being in this position last year after the first national championship, and we wanted to do it again, which is unheard of. 3 teams in the last 30 years have been able to go back to back. And now we're in the same position. We're trying to do something that hasn't been done, and longer than that in terms of a three-peat. So that's my motivation right there. Just keep getting better. Keeping helping these kids reach their dreams. I'll be at the NBA draft with Donovan Clingan and Stephon Castle. That's the gratification for me. Seeing guys like that reach their goals and knowing you had a small part of it is exciting.
That's fire, man. And lastly, as we close, as we close in on this past this hour mark, I want to be respectful of your time here. But what advice, man, would you give a young aspiring coach or just kid in general, man, that's born and raised in the city or just anywhere, man, that just wants to kind of follow in those footsteps that you've been able to accomplish, man, those goals that you've been able to accomplish, on a on a tiered basis, kind of tackling every obstacle or every opportunity and succeeding and just being being at the pinnacle of the game in your respective career. What advice would you give that kid that's growing up and with similar circumstances that you grew up in?
Yeah, I say this a lot, man, and I say this, on different platforms, whether it's a podcast. I wrote an article about it in 2016. Um, it was titled "Be Where You Are, Be Where Your Feet Are." And I truly believe that. If you're a middle school coach right now, be the best middle school coach in the country. Treat that middle school job like you're the head coach of the Knicks. Treat that middle school job like you're the head coach at UConn. If you're a high school coach, be the best high school coach you can absolutely be. Give those kids and families everything you have. And I feel that way even up to this day. That if you attack, your role as a coach like that every single day, opportunities are going to present themselves to you. When I was an AAU coach, I wasn't thinking about becoming a video coordinator at St. John's. I was thinking about how can I move the program forward that I'm a part of. When I got into college, when I was at FIU, there was no part of me that thought that we would be, at Minnesota in 10 months. But I wanted to make myself invaluable to that staff I was a part of. When I got the job here, we got this job, and people remember UConn was nowhere near where we are today. But what my focus was, every day I'm gonna try to get a little bit better. I'm gonna try to push this program a little bit further. I'm gonna make myself invaluable to the head coach and to this program and to the university. And if you have that attitude, you treat people with respect. I think that that's important. You treat people with respect. I think that goes unsaid too often in our business. People are always looking at how do they, can make a move and step over people, and because it's so competitive. You can be competitive, you can be hardworking, but still respect people and treat people the right way. Being committed, being solely committed. This business is grueling. There's 300 and whatever it is, 353 Division I teams, probably 100 high major teams. That's one head coach and 3 assistant coaches. This is a competitive business. So you got to give it everything you have. Put the vices away. Focus on your health. Focus on your daily habits. Try to find ways to always get a little bit better. Some valuable lessons that I've learned from Coach Hurley, and I've seen how much it's helped me grow as a coach and as a person. So, those are the kind of things that I would say. And obviously, stay grounded, stay humble, and just keep working.
Nah, those are that's gold right there. That's golden advice, man. I really appreciate your time. Before we get out of here, man, I definitely want to acknowledge that some time ago you had lost your wife. May she rest in peace. I know that you had a classic. I remember there being like a basketball classic in her honor. I'm not sure if you still have that, if you still have that classic going or not. But definitely wanted to acknowledge her, Sherette Dixon, if I'm
Yeah,
saying the name
absolutely.
correct.
Yeah.
So salute to her memory, man, and definitely just wanted to acknowledge that real quick. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you. Thank
Just
you.
because. But there you have it, man. Kimani Young, two-time national champion, NCAA. Yo, what what else? What else you want, man?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
absolutely. Three-peat. I want a three-peat. That's it, man.
saying? Hey,
We get the
three.
three-peat. I'll be back here. I'll be back here the same time next year.
Hey, no doubt, man. You always welcome. You always welcome here, man. For real. I really appreciate your time, man. You put in that blood, sweat, and tears into this game, man. And I felt like it was time that you be acknowledged, for that, man. So salute to you. Wish you all the best. I wish, I'm saying, nothing but success in your future, your immediate future, your long-term future. And yeah, man, we rooting for you, man. I'm saying, we rooting for UConn, we rooting for you as a person. And hey, man, your story is legendary, man. So
I
just
appreciate
make
that.
it
I
more legendary.
appreciate that. I appreciate that, Cal. And we just getting started.
Yes, sir. With that said, man, we out of here. Kimani Young, Legends Talk, man. Appreciate you, champ.
My man, salute.
Yes, sir. There you have it, man. Kimani Young, national champion. Not once, but twice. I mean, it's rare that somebody gets to come from those humble beginnings, Queens, New York, Harlem, New York, what I'm saying, and rise through the ranks like that, man. And just, what I'm saying, put his head down, got to work, and the rest fell, just kind of the rest was history pretty much, man. So definitely next week, man, we got some more legends coming up. But yeah, again, like to appreciate everybody out there sending their love, sending their well wishes my way. I appreciate you guys, man. Stay tapped in. And yeah, we're gonna be back, man, with another edition of Legends Talk. We out of here. Peace.